on the last video, I wanted to show you what the final product of the project looks like. Um, actually, so we have an APA title page here. This should actually be a little bit further down. If you have an APA template, you can utilize that. You'll have your running head and you'll have your page number as your title page. Then you will move directly, and I've edited this with some names out of it. So you will move directly into your paper with the project claim stated first with the citation for your project claim. From the claim, you will launch into the information you did in your planning worksheet and in your previous submission where you're describing your survey. So here we have the survey questions, we have what was used, where it was posted at, the number of responses that were gathered, and then we have all of the data. I have to see all 100 responses for you to earn full credit on this portion of the exam. You can put it in a table, you can copy and paste it from Excel, and you can put it at the end of your document, and you could just put under the paragraph, please see end of document. Whatever is easiest for you to get that information somewhere in this document. You just need to let me know in the beginning where to look for it. So that is your part one. Part two, again, we've already completed this. This is your sampling technique. I want to see this clearly written up with nice complete sentences and including the citation for where you got the information for your sampling type. So she clearly says, this is a sampling technique I use. It was convenient sampling for this student. She talks about how she gathered her survey. She talks about, in here, we should also talk about, is it a statistic? Is it a parameter? That was also in your planning worksheet, and again, include your citation at the end for where you got the definition of your sampling method for your statistic versus parameter information from. Then you're going to describe any bias that you saw in the sample, and we talked about that in your previous submission. So you should just be cleaning that up a little bit, making it shiny and new, inserting it into the final document. So I don't want to see a question stated here. I want to see complete sentences where you're just describing the bias. Again, we have our citation for this is where I got information about bias from. Most of the time it's going to be your textbook. This student did use a lot of outside resources, but utilizing the textbook citations are fine for that because we did cover bias in sampling method with the textbook. That would be the Lumen textbook, or you could use the OpenStax textbook. Is the data qualitative or quantitative? You need to give me, a lot of you guys have mixed data. So tell me, number of years is quantitative because it is numbers. Yes or no to owning pets is qualitative because it's categorical, and then your citation. So if you do have some mixed variables, just be sure to state that in here and then give me that nice citation. Then we're asking, is it continuous or discrete? You've already done this. So you don't have to do 3A here. This could all be under one heading, but this is how the student chose to do it. And again, I don't want to see the header. I don't want to see the question mark. So you could just have this say type of data. We want to avoid those question marks and get it more into paper header territory. Then we have, is your data from a population or from a sample? So that's our perimeter versus statistic. We've already been over that. A lot of you have had things pushed back. You want to include a citation there. Can it be descriptive or inferential statistics? Again, this is from that last submission. You need to give me nice, full, complete sentences on why it's one or the other, and you need to include your citation. So all of that is previously done work. Then we get into the actual representation of our frequency distribution and our visuals. Your frequency distribution is just dividing the data up and counting how many people are in there. If you're struggling to get Minitab to do that, you could just create the table in Word, and I'm okay with that. You need 5 classes, so you need at least 5 rows. Notice this is discrete data, so it's going from 50 to 51. But if you just want to create this in Word, I'm okay with that. Then you're going to have 2 different pictorial representations of your data. So this student chose to do a box plot, and then she explained why. That is really important. So you want to give me your visual, give me the why behind your visual. Any output that Minitab gives you in addition to that visual needs to go here. This student did not have her name in there. You need to have your last name in here. I went ahead and used a sample that didn't. That way I wasn't crossing lines with students, but you do need to have your last name in the visual. Then she gives another visual and she explains why, and she gives her citation. Again, you would need your name in this title part of the visual. Then we get into the actual statistics. So these are her statistics that she calculated. You may have more than one output for your statistics because several of you had some great follow-up questions. So your first statistic output should be about the claim. So when you did the claim, most people chose an average. So we're looking for mean, median, and mode right there. Once you've looked at the claim information, then you can utilize any additional statistics from your information gathered to hit that minimum of 8. Now, when you're getting to the description here, this is what you need to take care of. So don't necessarily worry about what she has. Listen to what I'm saying. You need to tell me what is more appropriate, the mean, the median, or the mode, and why. We covered this extensively in our discussions. So go back to the discussion from the week we covered this and look at how do you know if the mean, the median, or the mode is the most appropriate measure of average, because no one's claim said the mean value or the median value. You're having to decide which one of those three should I use to examine my claim. Then you're going to need to give a citation for the information you gave me, which is typically going to be the textbook, because the textbook does cover when you should use mean, median, or mode. Once you've covered that information, you can give any other statistics and their explanation in here. This student gave a lot of explanation. You don't need to give this much explanation, but you do need to give me something. Like I chose to look at maybe the median age for pet owners because I was interested to see if there was a difference in older people and younger people owning pets. Maybe you chose to look at time spent, screen time, and you also asked questions about the apps they use. So that could be additional follow-up. And you just want to give me some nice and words there. I don't need citations for that information. I just need to hear from you. This is why I thought this was valuable. Then this is what's new. You're including the confidence interval calculation that you did in Minitab with your Minitab output. From there, you need to describe the confidence interval and what it means. You don't need to calculate it. You don't need to break down how you calculated it. You just need to tell me what confidence interval did you use, and then what does it mean? So remember, with our confidence interval, we're looking at the mean is going to be between these two values. We're blank percent confident that the mean is going to fall between these two values. So once you look at that, you can use this information along with the mean, median, or mode output with what you found to determine if your claim is going to be valid or not. Now, how do you decide that? Well, if the claim clearly falls into the confidence interval and it's in the general ballpark of your mean or your median, then it's valid. And you just need to describe that. If it doesn't fall in your confidence interval, but it's pretty close to what you found, then there might be a calculation mistake or there might be some outliers that affected it. So you could still be pretty confident it's still going to be valid. If it is not in your confidence interval and it's pretty far off from your mean, median, or mode calculation that you decided is the most appropriate, then the claim is not valid. And you're going to explain all of that to me in words in part 6. Now, do I need 5 pages of explanation? No, you can probably give me that information in 1 to 2 paragraphs. So you just want to be very strong, very clear. The claim is valid, the claim is not valid, here is why. Then you want to be sure you include, and this is again a very long-winded paper, you want to include all of your references. So if you included the textbook, you would include the textbook here. If you include some other things from Khan Academy, maybe they are posted or a video or a stat track, you can include that here. But the main citation I'm looking to see is that you're citing the textbook and then any additional resources that you happen to use when you were trying to define things. So I hope this helps you put it together. I'm not looking for you to write a novel. I'm just looking for you to have these key components to clearly answer the questions, to clearly have the citations. Once you've watched this video, I want you to open the rubric and use the rubric as a checklist. Did I include this? Check. Did I include that? Check. Do I have a citation where it's required? Check. Make sure that you've taken into account all the revisions that I've given you, and you are submitting one document that has all the parts of the project in it in APA format. If you have questions, make sure that you inbox me because this is a large portion of your grade. So if you're unsure of something, just go ahead and inbox me to check in.